Hello and welcome. I'm AJ,
I'm Alex.
and this is NTVN New Tech Vintage Nerds. Today we're going to talk about Wi-Fi and perhaps something about Turing Pi too. Not sure what it is, but we're gonna find out.
It's not a
Let's.
pie.
It's not a pie.
It's not pie.
Well, now I'm really curious. Let's get started. Before we dive into the topics of today, I'm curious, what did you print since last week?
That is not a nice subject.
Well, my prints failed miserably. I'm happy to say that I ruined one of my build plates.
So, actually, I did have some success.
Alex is looking right now for the people listening.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just getting, for anyone who's watching, not listening,
It's a podcast,
you,
right?
you can see now what I printed.
Yeah, I can't recognize. Okay.
So, this is actually a shelf support, if you can see it properly, with honeycomb integrated, which actually turned out quite okay. And then I printed also an insert for the honeycomb with a pliers. Well, I don't know what you call it, pliers hook, I guess, where you can hang pliers upon. And this actually went quite well.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it works. I did have to print a special attachment for it because before I destruct it. No, there we go. So you do need that little insert here.
Oh, yeah.
And that is something you need to print separately. Because I was looking at this rig and I was like, okay, so
It doesn't fit.
Why does that not fit?
Yeah.
So it turned out you had to actually print that little insert there, and then you can just stick them together like that, and it works
Oh,
pretty good.
nice.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. Then again, I also designed a little wall mount for my brand new Homey today. Brand new Homey.
Oh, shiny.
Shiny, very shiny, yes. For those who are listening or watching, it's a black piano lacquer, so quite nice, but it's flat like a hockey puck. The previous Homey was actually a little ball. So the old mount logically won't fit. So I created a new one. I was just fiddling around in Tinkercad because Fusion 360. I'm still getting used to that. I'm not a very good 3D designer, so that usually takes ages before I get all the functions and forms right.
Yeah.
And in Tinkercad, it's like plop 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 plop, compose, clip, ready. But my printer apparently has an issue with the only spool of white I had left, which was PETG material. And the PETG basically just cooked itself on the build plate. So
Oh, that's not good.
I literally canceled the print a couple of minutes ago, and I think well, I don't need a new printer. Well, I do need a new printer, but
Yeah.
I think I'll order a spool of PLA white and just print it in there instead of doing this because.
My prints were just as good and just as bad as yours. I printed something from the previous episode, like actually the whole Gridfinity stuff and the honeycomb wall mount. That was going great, as well as the WLED enclosure. So
Oh, nice.
Finally, no more on the floor, but in a nice box. I can't show it because it's behind me. But then I started printing with the honeycomb system, and my printer thought it would be a good idea to mess up the Z-axis. So I got a pretty scratched up Creality build plate right now. It's that one, that magnetic one. So it's
that sucks.
Yeah. So that was a bit disappointing. But then again, now it's printing another one of those honeycomb wall mounts. So I believe, if I'm hearing it correctly, that it's still going good. It didn't
Okay,
scratch
it's not
anything.
screwing it
So
up.
no, not again.
All right,
No.
all right, all right, all right, all right.
So just like you, I really need a new printer, but that's something
Yeah.
that the manager hasn't approved yet.
Oh, same here.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm looking at the P1P from Bamboo Labs. This is actually the one the enclosed one, so
Yep.
not the open one. Um, this is I think the one I want to get together with what's it called, AMS, the full
Yeah.
for filament spools. I'm pointing in
The
the air.
automatic
Um,
management for spools.
that one,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's about the grand,
Yep.
and first of all, I find that quite a lot of money.
Yep.
And second, well, we've got some other priorities right now. So, for instance, I'll be painting this weekend.
Great. Great.
Yeah, stuff in the house that also needs to be done. So, yeah, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, exactly. So no home automation for you this weekend. So I was going to ask, what did you do around home automation? But yeah.
Well, this bad boy needs to go to work.
Oh, so next to
Uh,
painting, you're going to do stuff like that.
Pointing at my new homie for those who listen, I actually have to migrate from the old to the new.
Mm.
I had some performance issues and a couple of apps that kept on crashing. So I asked the Atom guys because I was a bit afraid that there was a problem under the hood, not so much with the apps because it was specific apps that were crashing. And I do not want to migrate shit from one homie to the next.
Mm.
So I created a spot request with the guys from Atom asking them, because there is no way of looking under the hood. Can you have a look and see what's going on? Because I can send you a diagnose code, or send those guys a diagnose code. They can open that and see the actual processes inside of Homey, see the actual logs inside of the Homey,
Mm.
and troubleshoot from there. And the guy came back to me. He said, "You know what your problem is? You've loaded it to full.
How strange.
You ran out of memory, my friend."
Mm.
Oh, okay. Um, so what happens if I migrate this? Well, he said if you migrate it to a 2023 homie, you'll probably be good because that thing has twice the amount of memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good argument to buy a new one.
Yep.
Boom, there it is.
Nice. So next to painting, a bit of migration.
I hope so. If it, I will definitely prepare for this properly, because I have no desire of re-registering any of the over 200 devices that are in there. So
Yeah. That's no fun.
that no. So I will be preparing that very very carefully and look at that. There is no room for edge, for no margin for error.
Well, the thing I want to do, and I looked in it last week. I have a Loxone, not sure how you pronounce it.
Wax
Um,
on, wax off.
no. It's not Karate Kid. No, it's Loxone is a smart home system that you can put on a DIN rail in your utility rack. And it's got all kinds of relays and sensors. It's more like a PLC, programmable logic computer, than a Homey or a Home Assistant system. It's more binary, more low level, so to say. I do have one in my utility closet, and to be able to connect it to all other kinds of stuff, I use LoxBerry, and LoxBerry is a open source project that integrates all kinds of different systems into the Loxone system, because Loxone has switches, sensors that you can put in a wall, and It's real commercial grade home automation systems like KNX, for example.
Right.
So LoxBerry is a real nice system that gives more functionality to the Loxone. But I haven't done anything with it for the last 3 years, I believe, since I started with Home Assistant. So, well, I think I need to upgrade my Loxone system itself, and as well as the software, since it's only run on Windows. Shame on you.
Ew.
So that's going to be an interesting weekend
All right.
if it still works. It's got a SD card in it, so it's not the well. I do have my
Upgrade,
opinion about it.
upgrading firmwares maybe, and
Yep. Luckily, there are no important systems connected to it. Like none. It's just in my utility closet.
okay, so you can't break anything.
No, just a thing, but that's okay.
Oh, right, but no angry.
No angry spouse or
Exactly.
whatsoever. No.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, let's get to our topics.
Oh, we have
Wi-Fi.
topics today.
Yeah, we do have topics.
Oh, very good.
I believe that those are very interesting topics because they're your topics.
Really?
No, just kidding. Now, we talked about Wi-Fi a couple of times already past week. So, and just said, well, I want to talk about Wi-Fi. What do you want to talk about? Can you
Yeah. What
explain
do
the
you want to
role of
talk about?
Wi-Fi in your home automation system, for example?
Well, go ahead. Can you explain the role of Wi-Fi in your home automation system?
Yes, I can, because without Wi-Fi, a lot of things stop. I mean, I do have a preference for wired connections, but um, a lot of them work by Wi-Fi or by another wireless protocol. So if my Wi-Fi connection stops, my spouse cannot turn anything on and off without, sorry, with the exception of all things that go automatically. But if she says, I want to watch TV now, it's by wireless, by a display, by an iPad. So if our Wi-Fi goes legs up, so to say, it's a bit of a problem.
All right. So,
So there's
what?
that.
How do you cope with that? How do you make sure your Wi-Fi keeps up?
Um, I don't. I buy a good brand.
Oh, okay. And what brand would that be?
Well, I'm not gonna uh, make any commercial activities, but the I use like somebody else in this talk uses the Ubiquiti systems, the UniFi access points and switches, and the main reason it just works. It's simple. Set it and forget it.
Yeah. Um, and I hear Paul Hibbert again. It just works.
Yeah, but it is true.
It's true. Um,
I do like
it's
a
not the
command line, but
cheapest. It's
no.
not. Um, what I do find about UniFi, um, I do not like their routers.
Mhm.
So the whole Dream Machine, they are too restrictive for me.
You do crazy things with your routing.
Well, not really, but I do have two internet connections because
Like
I
I said.
work from because I work from home most of the time, and I cannot allow that I cannot work because one of my internet providers decides to do something silly.
Yeah.
So I have two different internet connections with through two different media. One is cable, one is fiber optics. I could add a third, but I don't think my wife would approve. We
Probably
could do
not.
we could do Starlink here as well, and I'm told by someone in the neighborhood who tried it, you will get around about 300 to 400 Mbit up.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
not bad, but the investment is pretty fierce. So no, but what I love about UniFi are their access points. They are incredible. What I how do I put this mildly? What I tolerate is their switching because it's not the best. They have a very, very strange approach to layer 3 switching, which I today do not understand. That's one. And I had an HP switching configuration before I switched to UniFi, and that configuration was a lot quicker in terms of latency. But it's easy, and that is a big part of the cake. Creating a VLAN is clickety click in a UI, and boom, there it is.
Yeah,
and that is amazing. So many network vendors could learn from that.
Yeah, I agree. Although I really like my command lines, so when I do something with containers, I want to see it, and I don't want to use something like Portainer, a software for managing containers. And I find that for the UniFi system, I can do something on a command line, but if I want that it persists, it's hard. Then I got to write it to JSON files, and it works or it doesn't. Yeah, that's something that other brands do better, I think, or my lack of skills might.
I don't know. I quite like the idea. So first of all, I agree with you when it comes to doing Docker on command line or anything. I'd like to just have full control there, but the advantage is that I know my way around Linux, and that helps. I am not a networking guy, so for me, if I can do clickety click in a UI, and then I have a VLAN, and I don't have to worry about the VLAN being propagated through all my switches, and automatically being added to the routing group, so it is being transported across the whole of the network, etc., then I'm very happy. You know, if I've done networking in the past with Cisco, and you have to configure each and every individual switch. I don't think you have to do that anymore, but it's a different beast, and frankly, it never tickled my fancy, and I never got around to really getting interested in it. So I find this acceptable for the fact that it doesn't perform to the max of the spec.
Yeah. Now, what do you have all connected to your Wi-Fi? I mean, like I said, I try to do everything wired if I can. So my computer is wired, my NAS is wired. Obviously, I would say.
According to my Grafana dashboard, I currently have 47 clients in my Wi-Fi network.
47. Nice.
Yep. And 76 wired.
Whoa. I was just going to say, I also have that, but those were included, the wired.
No, so that is a bit more.
Yes. So in your cameras, I know that you're using cameras. Are those wired as well, or
half of them? The other half is Wi-Fi.
Okay.
In a lockdown VLAN.
Yeah.
So the VLAN is wired and being propagated to the wireless network as well. So the cameras are all in the same protect VLAN, which is closed down.
Nice. So I'm not sure if you already talked about it in other episodes, but you had got a couple of wildlife cameras, like you see squirrels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Instead of the birds that are in the houses. But Um,
And that's just a strange bird.
yeah. How do you connect them then? I mean, it's a pretty large garden for Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So what I did, and I have to admit that it used to be more stable than it currently is with the current firmware. But I have two outside access points. One is attached to the wired network at my house, and the other one is in the back of my garden, being powered by just 220 volts. And there is a PoE switch over there. If you are familiar with the Ubiquiti ecosystem, this is a flex switch, and the flex switch is powered by PoE, but this is a separate PoE injector.
Mhm.
So the flex switch actually powers the three PoE devices that are attached to it. One being the access point, and the other two being two old UniFi G3 cameras. And those cameras are actually, I painted them in camo colors, and they are hidden inside of the bushes in the back part of the garden.
Yeah,
So we see all kinds of wildlife crawl by, walk by, fly by.
yeah,
It's well, I enjoy watching it, and it's fun to see what comes around in the garden every day.
yeah. So your Wi-Fi goes to a access point in the back of the garden, then it
And that
goes to
access
the
point,
switch, and then to the cameras.
that access point is a bridge to the outside access point attached to the house, and so this is a wireless bridge. And then the cameras mount themselves to the network video recorder.
Interesting. I'm going to do something now. Well, not similar, like wired. I still have to find somebody that wants to crawl under my floor, crawl space to connect the fiber optic cable to the end of my garden. Um, but then there will be a switch with access points and like the cameras. It's now well, they work, but they can do better. Just like the sound system in my shed slash workspace, it does have internet, but from time to time it fails or it rebuffers, and then I see something from a couple of minutes ago, or I see nothing at all. So I do want to fix that, but it's going to be wired. Perhaps I should title myself the wired guy, but
The
yeah,
wired guy,
yeah,
yeah. So I can, for those who do have the the screen and see what we're actually up to.
Oh, you're going to share your screen.
Very quick view of the latter part. So you have the access point in the garden, which is to the left. So this one is actually connected wirelessly, wired. Sorry,
Yeah.
um, and so from there you can see there's one wireless camera connected to it, and then you have the access point cam switch over here. So, and this is the wireless bridge. So these two are the
Mm.
bridge. This is actually fairly easy to configure. You just configure the outside wired access point and try to find the frequency that is least obstructive, and then you go and connect the other access point you want to use as a client.
Mm.
You switch all the channels to automatic, and then you select the wired access point as a mesh uplink, and then they will match the configuration. As you can see, this one is configured to channel 1 and 48, and this one is also configured to channel 1 and 48, as you can see.
Yeah.
And then it just creates a connection for the cameras that are in the background. You can ignore the name here because that's
Yeah. Terrace.
where
Yeah.
it used to be, but it's, well, anyway.
It's now birdie.
And for some reason, it dropped the other camera, but there are actually two cameras here. So, and if you just have a quick look here, you can see that this is the actual uplink. So this is the access point providing the uplink connection, and then we have the two cameras that are attached here, and they all run on PoE.
Yeah. So no more power, just the power insertion into the switch, and the
Now, so
cameras automatically get that power.
exactly. So the first port is actually used for the PoE powering of the switch. So in theory, if I would use a power over Ethernet enabled switch to power this switch, this would also be the uplink, and I would have an extra port I can assign to. Then again, and this is the disadvantage. Obviously, I would have to have a wired link in the back of my garden, which I do not have. And second, the power budget is limited to what a single link can provide.
Mm.
And right now, the power budget is basically limited to the power supply that is attached to the switch. And this is a Ubiquiti specified power supply. I think it can do up to 50 watts or something. So these three boys can actually draw quite a bit of power.
Nice.
So
Nice.
there you
Pretty good. All right. And how do you do? I mean, I know what I did for my guest Wi-Fi, because when a guest comes here, they obviously want Wi-Fi. I try to tell them, bring your own Wi-Fi, but that didn't go over well. So what I did was create a guest network, and I put a QR code on my smart mirror that they can scan, and then they are on my Wi-Fi, but on a separate guest network. I configured a specific access point for that. Sorry, what's it
VLAN.
called? Sorry?
VLAN.
Yeah, and a separate VLAN, but also a separate name for it.
Oh, okay.
So it's obviously it's the rest of the world. So it's the internet, and I named it before like the drain or the sink to make it very obvious. I'm not gonna know what's on it, and perhaps you shouldn't want to know either. But if you want internet, you got it. But I know you did something else with your Wi-Fi.
Yes, I'm using what is called PPSK. And that allows you to actually just transmit one SSID. And based on the password that you enter, you will end up in different VLANs. So if you enter the guest network password, you will end up in the guest network. So I created a QR code which you can scan, but basically everyone is being dropped into the same SSID. Just after you log into the SSID, you are then being transmitted or transported to a closed down VLAN which just has internet access and nothing else.
Oh, okay. So the same SSID, but just different passwords.
Yeah, there are some pros and cons to PPSK. So the pro obviously is you just have to transmit one SSID, and I currently have I think 4 or 5 different VLANs attached to that. So I have the Protect network has its own password there. The guest network, there is the standard network that we just use in the home. There's also an IoT network. There is a no internet network next to the Protect network, which also has no internet but just hosts the cams. And actually, I'm also planning to add a work network to that to separate all the work devices from our home devices.
Okay. That's pretty strict on the Wi-Fi.
Well, it's pretty strict on the network in general.
Nice. So when a
And
guest comes into your house, you just say, well, use this password or scan this thing, and then
Yeah,
you're
there's a Wi-Fi sign in outside on my terrace, and it will this year it will have a 3D printed QR code below that, and you just scan the QR code, and then boom, you're on Wi-Fi.
oh cool, nice. I want to test that.
You're happy to try.
Yeah, cool. So Wi-Fi, probably the Turing Pi 2, like it wasn't a Pi, also has Wi-Fi.
Nope.
Nope, no Wi-Fi.
Nope.
Okay,
It's 100% wired.
so what is it?
What is it? Well, actually, it was a Kickstarter project, and they had a project before which was called the Turing Pi. And the idea behind Turing Pi was that you can create a cluster of Raspberry Pis, obviously, specifically the compute modules, and just plug. And I think they had a board with eight
Wow.
8 Raspberry Pis in it with a single power supply and a single network uplink connection. And I'm not really sure what the other features were that the version 1 of the Turing Pi had. But anyway, the Turing Pi 2 was a Kickstarter project. So crowdfunded, and I was one of the people who participated in the crowdfunding. It is a bit smaller than the Turing Pi 1. It has 4 slots, not 8, meaning that it's a bit more affordable. I think I paid the Kickstarter price, obviously, but I think it's currently around 270 something.
Yeah, something like that.
It has 4 slots that look a bit like memory slots, but they are meant to actually insert the compute modules into. They have specific adapter cards for the Raspberry Pi compute modules. I'm saying a lot of sorry. There you go again. So the general idea is you have a single board. You could plug in all the compute modules. You have 2 uplinks, a couple of shared resources like a SATA port or some other stuff, and
Yeah,
PCIe
I saw
slots.
something also for a machine learning board, I believe.
There are 2 PCIe slots, also mini PCIe slots on the board. One is assigned to slot 1, one is assigned to slot 2. On slot 3, you have 2 SATA ports. On slot 4, I think you don't have anything else. But, and this is where it starts to become fun, attached also to every slot, there is an NVMe drive. So there is an extra PCIe 4-lane connection to the slot, and the slot is being routed to the back. And at the back of the board, or on the side of the board, if you're really picky, there are 4 NVMe slots, 1 for each compute slot, and you can add the NVMe drives to that. The advantage is that you can assign this NVMe drive to the compute module in the compute slot. However, and this is the but, and everyone who is familiar with the Raspberry Pi compute modules or Raspberry Pi in general know that they do not have that much PCIe Express lanes. I think they only have 2 in the latest version, and maybe the Pi 5, which I have not looked at yet, has more, but I have to research that. But the folks at Turing decided, you know what, we can also design a compute module for this. And so they did. It's called the RK1. And the RK1 has a very, very, very powerful ARM chip on board. It's a ROC chip. And this thing is roughly 4 times the performance of a Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. Whoa. But it also can attach to all those PCIe lanes. So this means that to each compute module, I can actually assign an NVMe drive, which is very, very cool because now I have very fast storage attached to a pretty fast CPU. And the best thing about it is if you look at the power consumption, I now have 2 compute modules in there and 2 NVMe drives. Each compute module has 8 cores and 8 gigs of RAM. And I think that thing consumes about 20 watts.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Nice. So we're not going to talk about enterprise tech, but what are you going to do with that much power in your house?
Well, and now going back to the previous topic, with the 2 cameras that are in the back of my garden doing wildlife recording, the network video recorder from Ubiquiti does not have any animal detection, at least not on the old cameras anyway. It does have, I think, people detection and car detection and package detection, but I don't think it has any animal detection at all.
Well, it detects my cats, but it's more the presence
movement.
detection, but it doesn't show that's a cat.
Exactly. So what I did, and this is still a work in progress, obviously, what I did is I deployed Frigate on one of the compute modules and attached an NVMe drive to that compute module. Oh, what I also should add to that is every compute module also has 32 gigs of eMMC storage on board. So what
Next
you
to the
do is
NVMe.
next to the NVMe, yeah. So what you do to make it work is you download an image from the guys at Turing Pi actually baked a Ubuntu 22.2204 image with, I think, even a firmware update for the RK1. And you just flash that into the eMMC module. And once that's done, you basically, through the baseboard management controller, which it also has for management of the complete Turing board, you just click on power on slot 1. And you watch the board, you see pop the LED pop on. The fan on the heatsink starts to spin. And a couple of seconds later, you see the first output on the HDMI output, which slot 1 also has. Slot 2, 3 and 4 do not, but slot 1 does have an HDMI output. So this is very nice because you can then see what's going on.
Yeah.
So this is amazing, right? You click in this interface and you see the light pop on, and then seconds later you see the Ubuntu boot screens pass by on the screen. So that's really wonderful. So I installed Docker and Docker Compose on it and deployed Frigate on it. So Frigate currently is running on a CPU, which is not a supported configuration. Yes, I'm aware. Everyone who's familiar with Frigate or the Frigate people themselves,
it is supported. It's not recommended.
It's not recommended, no. But actually, it's running pretty good. And I attached 3 cameras to it, and the up to now, we do have a couple of false positives, but in general, it's working pretty well. If I do have a request to the folks from Frigate, I'd like to have squirrel and hedgehog detection, please.
Squirrel and hedgehog.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that would really make my day.
Yeah. I mean,
and polecat, please.
Sorry, what kind?
Polecat.
Oh, polecats. Yeah. I knew normal cats they do because I'm working on something similar. We use the detection, the presence and motion detection for the door camera, also a Ubiquiti thing. And our cats trained us well enough that if they sit there, they let us know that they want to go in. So every time something motion detected there, it's being shown on our television, and we have to get up and go to the door. But when a spider crawls before the camera, it's also detected as motion. So
yeah, that's
a bit annoying. So I know for sure that cats are detected. Sometimes it thinks that we got a car in our back garden, but or in our backyard.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, there's a table, there's a chair, and sometimes the eyes of the cat, but the system thinks that it's a car. Go figure.
Maybe because of the
the
cat's eyes
headlights of the
light up
cat.
in the dark, and it thinks that it is
Yeah,
the car's headlights or something. Yeah.
yeah. But actually, it would be a
Like,
good idea that it also detects things like a polecat and squirrels. I
it
also.
does detect birds very effectively. That works
Okay.
wonders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that definitely is functioning. But yeah, we had some. We've got a what's it called? A bird feeder mounted upon two old, well, tree parts, and it mistook that for a human being. I don't know how it's made that assumption, but
Yeah, it looked like a stick figure.
it could be. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
I'm afraid my doorbell is going to ring.
okay. Why is that? You ordered something. That's going to be a whole other topic. What's in the box?
Something from my wife.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna talk on and on and on and on. Well, now you heard us what we did with our weekend and our week, and you know something about our Wi-Fi configuration. Um, so that will be it for this week because Alex will be off for a while. Um, oh, he's already back. I was telling everybody that you were going to be back for a while, gone for a while. Man, that English.
Misschien moet je dit stuk er even uitknippen.
Tot zover ging het nog redelijk goed. Oh. Oké.
Hij komt niet meer terug, dus hij is nou weg.
Oh, oké. Ik wil net zeggen, anders moeten we straks ook nog... What's in the box? What's
Nee,
in your bag?
het is iets van Anna. Dus,
Ja, precies.
nope.
Dus,
Anyhow.
knip. So, cool stuff. Wi-Fi, Turing Pi 2. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it because I saw the price of the modules and the price of the board, but it would be a nice addition to a smart home.
It is, yeah, and it's really, really power efficient. But well, the advantage is that I didn't pay full price for it.
Yeah.
I think the cheapest compute module, which is actually I've got two of them. They are already very powerful and very useful. I think they're about $150 each.
Oh, that's doable.
And so that's the 8 gig, 8 core version, and then the board is 270 or 280.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link into the show notes for the website.
Yeah, turingpi.com.
Yeah,
it's very interesting if you want to tinker around with stuff like Docker or Kubernetes or anything that runs on an ARM CPU. This is definitely your cup of tea.
Nice. With that, I think we're all through. Other than, do you have any tips for the listeners today?
Do I? I don't think I do.
No, I don't think you do as well because it's not in the notes.
I was actually looking at the notes and I don't think I ended anything this week.
Yeah,
but you do.
I did.
So what's your tip?
Well, you know that I'm not that organized, so I download a lot of stuff. And with 3D printing, you can download a lot of stuff on Thingiverse, 3D Printing Academy, whatever.
You can also create your own.
You can also create your own, correct?
That will generate even more.
Yeah, and then it's a version addition to that, and you download something that you already downloaded.
Yep.
So I tried finding something that could manage that mess. And I found something. I found two tools, Orynt3D. Interesting, but it was too hard for me. No, that's not correct. It's it was not obvious at first what I had to do. So it's a great system, but you have to do a lot of steps. And the other one was STL Vault. And unfortunately, there hasn't been any activity on the GitHub page anymore since 2020.
Oh.
But I believe the Discord server is very live and active at the moment around this product. And the great thing of it is that I let it loose on my downloads folder and my network folder, and it finds only the STL files. Even though my download folder is full of other things.
Crap.
I wasn't going to say that. Other things. STL Vault ignores them and only shows the STLs that, or actually the STL files.
But does it also pull them in and then create a sort of a library, or do you have to do that yourself?
It automatically pulls it in. You can tag it.
Cool.
You can view it in 3D. So turn it around and stuff like that. So it's really cool. Like I said, it's not in active development anymore since 2020. That's a bit too bad. Yeah. But on the other hand, it still works, and it's available on Windows and Mac. I use it on a Mac, and really, I can find my shit now.
So right. I was under the impression that it was a something inside of a Docker container or something, because you are very much into Docker containers.
Yeah, I was looking for something like that, but this was a downloadable. It's based on a Unity framework. It's
right.
It looks good, and it works. It doesn't do a lot, but it works, and it actually does that what I wanted to do. Let me find my files and prevent me from downloading it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, what I specifically hate is those projects that come in a lot of different files, or 2s, 3s, 4s, like the rocket that you see behind me if you're watching.
Yeah.
That is, I think, 10 or 12 different parts that you need to print, and I think maybe even more. Yeah. And keeping track of all those, this is supposed to be with that, and together they form something. I have a hard time keeping track of that, and I've got a couple of them. I printed, I think it's one of the most popular ones on Thingiverse, the planter with the plant insert.
Yeah.
That, first of all, that thing is amazing. I've printed 4 or 5 of those, and they are superb. They are really good. The large one isn't so much very good, but the medium-sized one is amazing. But it comes in 2 parts, and I scaled up the one, and then I got lost track of the second. And I was like, okay, now I've printed the outside, but I need to print the inside, but I can't find the STL file anymore.
Oh my. So, well, I think STL Vault is something for you then.
Exactly. There you go. Right. That would be the ideal use case.
Yeah. And in between lines, I heard a tip for listeners, the planter from Thingiverse.
It's actually on the most downloaded, one of the most downloaded objects from Thingiverse.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm going to put a link in the show notes when I get it from you. If I get it from you.
You will get it from me.
Okay. Thank you. Well, with that, I think we can end this episode. If you have any questions, please let us know. And like all wannabe socialites and influencers, ring that bell, subscribe. And with that, have a great weekend.
See you next time.
Bye.